إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره نعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له أشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وسلم وبعد فإن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله تعالى وخير الهدى محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وإن كل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. عباد الله, Alhamdulillah, this week, bi'idhnillah ta'ala, by permission of Allah, as was requested, then I will go into explaining in the next khutbah, in this khutbah, the meaning and who is Ad Dajjal. Understanding the meaning who is Ad Dajjal. Because many people misunderstand and they don't know who and what is the Dajjal. And it's the ways the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam explained who he is and when he will come. And the fitna that will come behind him. Allah Azza wa Jalla, when he mentioned in the Quran, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. In the ayat when he said, Al-Qariyah, Mal-Qariyah, when Allah Azza wa Jalla mentioned in this ayat the great calamity, and what is the great calamity? The Prophet ﷺ explained that Dajjal. Because many people, they look at things today and different people, and they think that the Dajjal is the money, they think it's buildings, they think it's other people. But that's not what the Dajjal is. The Prophet ﷺ said, and it is upon every believer and every Muslim that they need to know about it. Because the fitna that the Dajjal comes will be like no other fitna that have ever hit the earth. The fitna that we go through, the fitna that the trials and tribulations that we're suffering from now, the fear of the trials that we're going through is nothing compared to a Dajjal. The Prophet ﷺ said, he said one of the signs of a Dajjal when he comes, he said it will be when 3 years that where there will be no rain. And the Prophet ﷺ said, before he comes, which is known by many people, and they call him the Antichrist, many things will happen. And many Muslims, they are asleep on that. They are concerned with what's happening now, but not what the Prophet ﷺ said, what will come down the line in the history of the Deen of Islam. And Rasulullah ﷺ used to teach the companions about this, and they were afraid. But they put their tawakkul in Allah. And how do we know, or is it happening now? The Prophet ﷺ said there are 3 signs and many other signs. And these signs will be that there will be no rain that will happen for a period of time. He said 1/3 of its produce, the things that you receive in life, the fruits and the foods and things like that. He said when the Antichrist comes, this will happen. There will be no produce. And the rain, it will not rain for a whole year. 1 full year, there will be no rain. Like this, the likeness of what we see now that's happening. Because only those who truly believe in Allah and understand that the Prophet ﷺ, he never said anything of himself. And that when he said there will be no produce and nothing that will come about, he was teaching us to prepare ourselves for the Antichrist to come. And we think that many of the fitna that we're going through now is something, it will be a greater fitna that you can ever bear in your life. Many of the fitnas will have gone. The fitna of the things that we're going through today, these viruses and all these other types of things that's happening in the world, they will be gone. As a sign to show you that this is nothing. for what's to come, the Prophet ﷺ said. He said that this will pass, and the real fitna is coming. Such a fitna that the whole world will come to know about it. Such a fitna, he said, that it has not come in the history of Islam ever. Such when this fitna comes, he said many Muslims, they will apostate because their iman is not strong. And because their faith is so weak that they will give in to the Antichrist. Such a fitna, he said, it will rock the whole world to an extent that you think that you're afraid of something now, you think that you stay in your houses now, you think and you fear death because of something that's happening now. This is nothing. The fitna that the Prophet ﷺ said that will come with the Dajjal, which is the Antichrist, he said many Muslims are unaware of it. Such a fitna that every prophet, every single prophet, he taught his people about it. Such a fitna that they understood. The Prophet ﷺ said, at this time, there will be no Tawbah. There will be no need you making Tawbah to Allah Azza wa Jalla. Because when he comes, it will be a fitna that he will wipe out so many different things. He said there will be no Tawbah at this time. The fitna that the angels, he said at this time the malakas will come from the heavens and they will come down with their swords. Such a fitna that the Prophet ﷺ said between the creation of Adam salam and the coming of the hour, there is no trial and tribulation that's going to be greater than this. None. And this is why the Prophet ﷺ said to learn your deen. Learn this religion. Put your trust in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Fear Allah Azza wa Jalla. Because the things that Allah is bringing now is only a test to show you your iman, to show you your shortcomings. Every single prophet, they taught their people about the Antichrist, the one that's coming. He said there is nothing between the creation of Adam and the hour of the tribulation to the things that's happening now that be in comparison to this. He said every prophet, they warned their people against this. The likeness of Adam, alayhi salam, Noah, Ibrahim, alayhi salam, Ismail, Ishaq, Saleh, Lut, Yaqub, Yusha, Ilyas, Yunus, Ayub, Dawood, Yahya, Isa, alayhi salam. All of the prophets, they taught their people about this. They didn't stop just because something small that we think is big happening now is something great. No, there are many things that Allah is going to bring after this that's going to be even greater. And this is coming. Wallahi is coming. But we don't prepare for that. We don't prepare for that. We only prepare for certain things that happen because of what the media said. But in reality, what did the Prophet ﷺ say? Allah said he doesn't speak of his own desire. He came with the haqq of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to show us what's going to happen. He said, there is no such thing as if people look and they look on TVs and all these other things and they look at people and they say, that's the Dajjal. No, that's not the Dajjal. That's not the Antichrist. And Musaylima, the false prophet. Musaylima. And Abu Mansur, the people like this, Al-Ghulam Ahmed, Rashid Khalif, those people, Al-Bashir, none of them, they're not the Dajjal. That's not the Antichrist. These are just people that do evil. But the Prophet ﷺ, he explained who the Dajjal is. He said, and in itself is very long to explain. And briefly he said, none of these people who you think that come to you today are the Antichrist. None of them are the Dajjal. He said the Antichrist, he is a young man. He's a young man. And he's coming whether you like it or not. He's coming. And when he comes, he has an army with him, a great army, and they will follow him. And he said on his arrival, he said, the Prophet ﷺ said, remember, between the creation of Adam ﷺ and the coming of the hour, there is no fitna greater than that. There is none. And he will come someday. And he is alive. He is alive. And the Prophet ﷺ went on to say, he said that there is no tribulation greater, and no matter that it's greater than this. And he said, Wallahi, Allah has never ever sent a prophet who did not warn his people against this. He said, I am the last of the prophets, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And he said, you are the last of my ummah. Take what I say as being true. He said that the Antichrist is coming, and he is definitely coming. And the Prophet ﷺ said, listen to me very well. He said, if he comes, wallahi, he said, I swear by Allah, and I am amongst you. He said, I will fight on your behalf. He said, but if I'm not amongst you, and I leave this life and Allah SWT takes me, he said, prepare yourself. Prepare yourself and increase your iman. Why? Because you will not be able to deal with him. You will not be able to deal with this fitna that he will bring. But if he comes when I'm amongst you, he said, then every person I will fight on his behalf. He said, this is why I'm telling you and I'm warning you about the causes and the fitna that will come when this person comes, which is known to be the Dajjal. He said, he who hears of the Antichrist, he should stay away. Stay away. Because you have a lot of ignorant people that think that they can withstand it, and they're going to be able to fight it, and they're going to be able to deal with it. That's not going to happen. Because we don't understand the history of Islam. When the Prophet ﷺ explained about the Antichrist, and when he explained about Gog and Magog, Ad and Thamud, how Allah destroyed them, but he told them, all the prophets taught their people about the Antichrist. He taught them about it. Many times we don't talk about the history of Islam. We keep it very low and we just talk about everything in dunya. But what did the Prophet ﷺ say? He said the Antichrist is not nothing to play with. It is something that you need to teach yourself and your children and your wife. Why? He said because if he comes in your time, and wallahi, only Allah knows if he's going to come in your time. You can't say, he's not going to come in my time. Let me go keep enjoying myself. Let me live in my comfort zone. You don't know that. Every single day is a different day. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brings things every day. And some things he raises, some things he brings down. You have to understand that. He said, whoever hears of him, he should prepare himself. And he said, understand, there are a lot of false claims and don't connect to the signs that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has sent. The Prophet ﷺ had given us signs of the Antichrist. And he said, if you are fearing of what I'm saying to you today, what about when he comes about on this earth? Many people think that it's some type of spirit. No. When you get to the end of this, you will understand who he is and where he's at. He's not in America. He's not in all these other countries. The Prophet ﷺ, he even mentioned and said, they said, oh, what about he's in here? He said, no. He's far in the east. Just waiting for the day to come. He's chained up in the worst of looking of people. He said, the man asked, Ya Rasulullah, he said, when is the hour? He said, have you prepared for it? It is close to the hour when the Dajjal comes, when the Antichrist comes. He said, when you hear of his arrival, he said, stay far away from him, because it will be like no other day. There will be no rain. There will be no produce. He will trick many Muslims. They will believe him as they believe in things today. They will trust him because of the things that Allah gave him to do to test you. He said there will be a man who would think that he's firm in his iman as a believer, but when he sees him, the Antichrist, when he sees that the magic that he can do, the illusions and the tricks, he'll follow him. He will follow him because we are drowned in the dunya so much that we don't understand the history of Islam. We have forgotten about what the Prophet ﷺ said is what's going to happen and what's going to take place. We don't know about these things because every single day we're just working, eating, sleeping, drinking, getting up, and that's it. There's more to that. The Quran has all of this. The Hadith explains these things that's going to happen. And mankind, he will make you only focus on the fitna that's happening today. He won't tell you the fitna that's coming. He won't tell you, have you prepared for the hour? No, he said, have you prepared for what's happening now? Wallahi, Allah is the one who's our protector. He's our Mawla. He's the only one that can protect us. The Prophet ﷺ said at this time, he said, he will fall into the traps of the Antichrist. Why? Because he believes it, like we believe things today. They tell us anything, and we say, okay, we follow it. We don't understand, we don't believe what the Prophet ﷺ said, but we will believe any other man. But what about Rasulullah ﷺ? He does not speak of himself. You will fall, and he said, people will fall into his hands and follow him. And that's why the Prophet ﷺ said, he said the Antichrist will come, and he will come and you would not understand. You will be lost. He said the day that the imams, they stop mentioning about the Dajjal and the fitna of the Antichrist, then know for sure that this is the time that the people will be, there will be a people that are lost and they will have forgotten because the imams don't mention about it. He said the time will come and we will forget about the real fitna. The Prophet ﷺ said the Antichrist will come when the deen of Islam is taken lightly. We take the deen of Islam lightly. We don't take it serious. We just take it like it doesn't mean anything. It's as we say, La ilaha illallah, Muhammad Rasulullah. And we don't follow Quran and Sunnah. We don't read the Quran. We don't read the Hadith the way of the Prophet ﷺ. And this is the time when we take the religion lightly and the Antichrist will take you. Because you don't understand the reality and people think it's a joke, but it's a reality. Prophet ﷺ said he will come. The diseases and all of the things that's happening to you now, that is nothing. That will come and it will go by the permission of Allah. But the time will come when the Antichrist will come. He said, the Prophet said that I have seen in a dream, and I was doing tawaf around the Kaaba, and I saw in the dream a beautiful man. He had a reddish face, and he was white. His face was a white complexion. And he said, when I looked at him, he had water dripping from his face. And I said, who is he? Who is he? And he said to me, that is Isa alayhi salam. Isa alayhi salam. And he said, then I turned to the other direction and I saw another man. And this man, he was fat. He was real fat. He had two eyes. Two eyes. One eye, it looked like a floating grape. A floating grape. And he said, I asked, who is that man? He told me. It was told to me, that is the Antichrist. That is the fitna maker that will come amongst you and your people in their time. Prepare for it. He saw Isa alayhi salam. He saw the Antichrist, the Dajjal. And he said, just picture this in your mind. A man like this, that's young, that's on the earth, and he is going to come and bring the fitna. Imagine, Gog and Magog, they are hitting, and every single day, wallahi billahi, They are hidden behind a wall, and they dig every single day trying to get out. And they're human beings like us. They came from one of the three sons of Nuh alayhi salam. And they try every day to get out. And they dig a hole, and the hole gets really small. And as they get tired, like us, they say, we will try again tomorrow. And every time they try the next day, Allah seals the hole. History of Islam that you don't understand. They are waiting to destroy you. They are waiting to destroy those who come after you. But that's a whole new different subject. We're talking about the Antichrist now. The Dajjal. The one that's going to come eventually. As we think, and we think in ourselves that the hour could be any day. We think that the hour is way off. Let me live my life. Let me stay in my comfort zone. It doesn't work that way. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala showed us when this pandemic came, we wasn't prepared for it. Mankind, they started becoming frustrated to the point they ran to the markets, cleaning the markets out, thinking it was the end of the world, preparing themselves for something like that. Let alone, what do you think going to happen when the Antichrist comes? You're not going to be able to run to no market and get food and do this and do that. It's not going to happen like that. The story gets longer than that, because he would travel from nation to nation to nation to nation until he destroys everything that he can. Everything. And the only two places that he will not enter is Mecca and Medina. Mecca and Medina, because he said those are the only two places that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put malaikas, the angels with swords, that he will not enter. But all of the other places where fitna is, music, smoking, singing, dancing, women, all this stuff, he will come and destroy it if you don't have strong iman. He said he's a young man. The Antichrist is a young man, and he's muscular, big. He has a hunchback. His back is hunchback. He's red in complexion, and he has curly hair look like snakes. The likeness of some of the people you see today walking around with their hair looking like that. That's not the Antichrist. But the Antichrist is like I just mentioned. He's fat. He has an eye that look like a jelly that's moving around. And on his head is written Khutba, K-U-F-R. And the Prophet ﷺ said to his nation, as I'm telling you, he told the Sahabas, this is going to happen. They said, Ya Rasulullah, Kayfa, how is it? We don't know. Tell us, what should we do? He said, listen, if I am amongst you, as I said, I will defend in your behalf any Muslim. But if I'm not, you need to prepare yourself. Learn your religion and your deen. Know Allah Azza wa Jalla, because if not, He's going to trick you. The same way they trick us today with all these other things. I'm not talking about no Illuminati and stuff like that. I'm not talking about no secret societies. I'm telling you what the Prophet ﷺ said. All of that stuff is not going to mean nothing to the Dajjal. He will wipe it out. It doesn't mean anything to him. The Prophet ﷺ said in concluding this, he said, not only does he have hair that look like snakes, but he has crooked legs. His legs are crooked. He don't have no children. He has a wide neck. And his head sits on his shoulders like a hunchback. Inshallah ta'ala, we will conclude with this and do part 2, inshallah. Wa subhanakallah wa hamdik, wa shadu la ilaha ant, wa astaghfirullah wa atubu ilayh. Alhamdulillah wa alamin wa salatu wa salam ala Rasulullah. As I mentioned before, the life in this story, and it's not just a story, it's a reality. The likeness of the Dajjal coming, the Antichrist, is real. The fitna that I just told you in the beginning is a fitna that none of us will ever be able to handle. None of us. That's why the Prophet ﷺ said, stay in your houses at that time. Stay in your house at that time. That's a real fitna. That's the fitna I'm talking about. This is not the fitna where you can just come out and go to the store and go back in the house. You're not going to be able to do that with the Antichrist. Allah has told us, he who hears of the Antichrist should stay away. Not what he hears of today, of the things that you see that's happening now. The reality, the word kufr will be on his head. And he said, those who can read and those who can't read, the educated, the uneducated, they will be able to read it, even though they can't read. He said he will be blind in one eye. The Dajjal will be blind in one eye. He looks like a protruding grape coming out. And he will travel the world for 40 days. 40 days he would travel the earth. And in these 40 days, it will be very hard, the Prophet ﷺ said. Some things are hard to fathom. It's hard for us to fathom about certain things that Allah created. The likeness of Allah has given us a soul. It's hard to fathom, how can a soul be inside of bones and flesh? There's likeness of the same thing. You can't even imagine how in the world is going to be a man that's going to come and attack all of us at one time. He will wipe everybody out in this one room. All of us. Allah made him like that. Unless you have strong iman. The Prophet ﷺ said, stay away from him. Why? Because you're going to fall. He said 40 days he will come. And he said one day is like a year. One day. 1 week. He said a week is like many days. And he said that the third day is like 1 week. He went on to say and that the rest of the days will be like normal days. But the Prophet ﷺ said he will cause corruption and destruction wherever he goes. And he will cause so much fitna that everywhere that the Prophet ﷺ said between the creation of Adam and the coming of the hour, there is no fitna greater than that. We have to understand the reality of what the Prophet ﷺ said. We can't go to sleep. We sleep on a lot of things, but it's time for us to wake up. Because if we are afraid of a virus, what do you think when that Antichrist comes? What do you think when God and my God come? What's going to happen? You're not going to make it. Even Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he told Isa alayhi salam, when God and my God comes, do not fight them. He said, you will not win. You will not win. He said, take the believers and take them up to the mountain where Moses was at. Because you will not win. This is a fitna. This is a real fitna. The fitna we're going through now is only a trial and a test to show you the shortcomings of the believers and the kuffars. Allah is testing us. He said, lastly, there will be no trial greater than this. There will be no matter greater than this. This fitna of the Antichrist will be on that day, and only the strong believers, they will make it. Because their iman is strong. They never doubted their iman of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They never became, those people came attached to the dunya. Because when you become attached to the dunya, you're going to think, if you live in that time of the Antichrist, you're going to think that what you have, your weapons and all that, going to stop him. You're fooling yourself. Read the history of what the Prophet ﷺ said. You're not going to be able to handle it. He said, those who live a life of disobedience, who live a life of sin, those who live a life of disobedience and they cause so much fitna in the dunya, oppression. They listen to music, they don't pray, they don't come to the masjid, they don't fast, they don't read Quran, they don't fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You will be the first one to fall underneath his feet because you don't have no strong iman. Iman increases and decreases. The Prophet ﷺ said that your iman increases when you dhikr Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Morning and night. My wealth, my cars, my money, my wife, my children, I cannot protect them without Allah. Allah is the Mawla. Allah has already told you through the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, the fitna will come and it's not going to end. It's not going to never end until Allah decrees it. Prepare for the hour. Understand who the Antichrist is. People look at their dollars and they look at things and they say, this is the Antichrist. That is not the Antichrist. The Antichrist is just as I explained it to you. It's not no Illuminati and none of those groups, none of these social societies, these private societies, these people that's trying to get money and trying to get that. The Antichrist don't need none of that. He don't need no money. He's going to have his own army. And we ask Allah to protect us that we don't fall into that army. Because you will. Because there are many Muslims. They party, they do this, they do that, they hang out, all of that. They're weak. And when a person is weak, he will fall quickly. Because he's not strong. The only way you can get strong is with Allah Ta'ala. You have to ask Allah to guide you and help you, increase your iman, strengthen you in your iman. Because right now, the way things are going now, and the situations in the society now, the Muslims are in trouble. We are in trouble. Why? Because you look at the houses of Allah, you look at the Muslims, we are afraid. We are afraid. Why? Because what's going on? We're afraid. Allah knows. And Allah knows when this thing's going to happen and when this thing's going to end. Wallahi lillahi, only Allah knows. Allah can make a thing happen just like that. Kun fayakun, and it's gone. Allah could have already made the disease that the people put fear in us. He could have already made it been gone. And we're still afraid. Why? Because when you trust Allah, you don't have to worry about nothing. Why? Because who controls your life? Allah. He controls your life. If you think for 1 second that those people control your life, you got another thing coming. Wallahi, Allah's going to take them to Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. From Allah I came, and to Allah I will return. When it's my time. I'm not going to leave until it's my time. You're not going to leave until it's your time. If you keep thinking that you're going to leave because of this and that, that's wrong iman. Your iman is in Allah. He will tell you when you leave this life. But you take your precautions. But don't become an extreme. Because when you go to the extremes, you're going to hurt yourself. People have left this deen because of extremism. Don't be an extremist. Put your trust in Allah and don't just say it off your tongue. Mean what you say. Because wallahi, you can trick me, but you cannot trick Allah. He knows your heart. He knows if you're sincere or you're a munafiq. May Allah save us and keep us in the salat al-mustaqim. Subhanakallah wa hamdika wa ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta wa astaghfirullah wa atubu ilayh. Inshallah ta'ala next week we will continue with the Dajjal, the Antichrist, and how he is and how he will appear and where he's at right now on this earth.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar.